Hey, what's up guys? So just a quick video today. I want to briefly talk about the perception of depth. Get it? In the full or ass to grass squat, and also a little bit about cues. So here we have two pictures. You may look at the picture on the left and think that it's a lot deeper because of the relationship between the top of the knees and the hip crease. But actually, you can see that the bar is pretty much in the same position in both pictures, maybe off by an inch or so, but the range of motion, the depth is essentially the same. In both pictures, I am completely bottomed out. There's nowhere left for me to go. My hamstrings are compressed against my calves, and it won't matter if I foam roll my quads, my hamstrings, my ass, my cankles, my armpits.
My neck, my back, lick my...
That won't change anything. There's literally nowhere left for me to go. With this setup here, I can't get any deeper. So now the question is, which bottom position looks more natural, more comfortable, and more strong? If you said the one on the right, I would agree with you. It's much easier to push myself out of this position than it is to push myself out of this position. Which position do you think I'll try to achieve if I want to overload my body with the maximum amount of work possible and therefore get the maximum amount of development possible? This one, right? So when I go for a deep squat, this is the position that I'll be going for. Even though this one might look cooler and more impressive, it might get me more likes on Instagram, this is the one that I'll be going for. Plus, trying to maintain vertical shins while squatting ass to grass is awkward as fuck! When I see people try to do this, what I'll see is, instead of moving their butts basically up and down, they have to move their ass through a wide arc to get into this position from a standing position. It's not very efficient or natural. So now that I've determined my bottom position, the starting position is not as complicated. You're basically just standing up, right? So now I got my point A and point B. So how do I get from point A to point B? The problem with cues is that they're very personal. Different people will interpret and execute different cues in different ways. When you think about cues, you have to think about how a cue will help you perform the lift more efficiently. I get really annoyed when people just throw around cues as if following the cues themselves is the end goal. Improving the lift is the end goal, not just following a bunch of cues. Cues are there to help you improve your lifts. They're not a bunch of rules that you're supposed to just blindly follow and then everything will magically work out for you. So the thing that I like to think about is trying to bring the bar to the middle of my feet. That one cue alone does a lot for me. And when I think about it, my body almost just naturally works itself out to try to achieve that cue. Another cue that I like to use is to try to bring my testes to my Achilles. And that's trademarked, by the way, you can't use that. Another reason why you might not want to use that cue, besides the fact that I'll sue you, is because your femur length might be different, your strongest bottom position might be different, your testes might be in a different place, etc, etc. So as you can see, cues are very personal. One common cue that I see get thrown around a lot is to break or initiate at the hip, or sitting back as if you're trying to sit into a chair. I see a lot of people applying this cue too strongly, and they end up looking something like this. It basically becomes a two-part motion. First part is sticking the ass back, and then the second part is the shifting forward of the knees to try to get into that strong bottom position. If you find yourself doing this, telling yourself to break at the knees instead might balance things out and turn it into one smooth motion instead of a weird ass swinging thing. Another common cue I see is breaking at the knees. If I break hard at the knees, my ankle mobility will only allow me to go so far before I'll have to sit back, again turning it into a two-part motion. If you're guilty of this, then try to think about breaking at the hips instead. You can't just throw out a bunch of cues and expect it to work for everybody. You have to see how they interpret and execute the cues. You have to also take into consideration their body proportions. Every lifter will require a set of unique cues. Don't be dogmatic and blindly adhere to a bunch of cues just because they work for somebody else or just because they told you that's the right way to do it. Don't make it complicated. Experiment with different cues, keep what helps you, forget about everything else, and most importantly, don't forget to put your goddamn weights away!